Hey, American contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked out American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor that's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
What's up, everybody? I'm meteorologist Andrew Myers, bringing you guys your daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, and American Contractor. You guys can go ahead and check them out in the description to this video. So you guys know we had a ton of crazy weather through the upper Midwest yesterday, and that is kind of continuing into today. We have that continuing to push through the Northeast and setting us up for what could be another Ohio Valley risk day into this afternoon. And then we also have a bonus risk for you guys in the Wyoming and Nebraska corridor, so you guys could also get some wind and hail into this afternoon. And then tomorrow looks a lot quieter, more scattered risks throughout the nation. We'll talk a little bit about it in a moment. But first, let's get into our upcoming events. So the first of those would be the NTRCA Mini Trade Show. That one is in Grapevine, Texas at the Grapevine Convention Center. And that's gonna be next week on August 4th, so it's coming up quick. You guys make sure to get registered for that and come see us there. And then after the NTRCA Mini Trade Show, we're gonna be at the IRE, the International Roofing Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada. So if you guys wanna take a trip out to Vegas at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center, you guys can come see us there on August 10th through the 12th. So a couple weeks from now, it's gonna be a really good time. So make sure to get out to the International Roofing Expo in a couple weeks here. And then last but not least, you guys know we've been getting ready for the Thunder Road Race for Recovery. This is an event that Hail Trace is actually putting on, and it is a charity event. All the proceeds are going to the charity Roofers in Recovery. And so that's going to be on September 15th in Norman, Oklahoma at the Oklahoma Motorsports Complex. Yes, it is going to be racing go-karts. They go quick. We were there a couple weeks ago, and it is a lot of fun, guys. So go ahead and make sure to get registered for that. You can sign up to race if you want to. You can also sign up to sponsor for that. And the link to do that is in the link tree provided in this video as well. So make sure to come out and see us at the Thunder Road Race for Recovery. So into yesterday, we had quite a few local storm reports around the nation. We're just zooming right in here to the crazy weather that we had through Minnesota and Wisconsin. So we had a little bit of hail to start us out here through Minnesota, and then it quickly banded up and formed that gusty wind event. More than gusty winds, guys. These got up to over 80 miles an hour through a lot of this area. And that rocketed all the way through Wisconsin and into Michigan with those wind reports that came in yesterday. Like I said, quite a few high wind reports from that in the overnight hours. So this was quite an intense system that pushed through off into Michigan, making its way through New York and Pennsylvania right now. So it's going to finish off in the coast, and we're going to see how that affects our weather into today. But we also did have a little bit of severe weather moving through the Virginia and North Carolina area yesterday. So we just got a scattering of severe hail reports as well as mostly winds as those sea breezes came on shore and popped a couple of storms for us through there. So active day into yesterday. Today is getting set up to possibly be another active day, probably not quite as crazy as we saw last night. However, some severe hail chances and wind chances to go around. So this is what we're looking at right now for our current conditions. Dry and clear across the west, still clear across the central plains, muggy and hot as always. And then once we get into the east, you guys can see the system continuing to work its way through New York and Pennsylvania, getting ready to push off of the east coast later this afternoon. And check that out right behind it, guys. We got some clearing from that, and that is going to be our setup for those severe storms today. So we're getting kind of a cold front setup, moving with that storm as it continues to modify the atmosphere out behind it. And with that hot, muggy weather below it, we could get a boundary setup, popping some storms for us later. So zooming on in then into our Wyoming risk, you know, cloudy, rainy. Not anything crazy right now, and it's probably not going to be anything crazy this afternoon either. A whole lot of this. We could get a couple isolated hailstones or two coming out of some scattered storms with the system as we wait for these clouds to move out of the way and let us get some of that daytime heating that we need. And then off into the Ohio Valley. So like I said, we've got this system that's getting ready to push off. Got that cold front set up, and this is what we're looking at for those bands of storms that are getting ready to pop through Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, all the way into Missouri later this afternoon. So for temperatures from that, like I said, we're getting kind of a cold front set up there, and you can kind of see it on this map here. So we're sitting up at 79 in Green Bay, all the way to 88 in Louisville. And right in between here is where we're getting that modification of the atmosphere. You can see it really well in the Pennsylvania area, 84 degrees here in Washington, D.C., 73 in Pittsburgh. So we're getting a good temperature gradient. That's what we need to get those storms to develop later this afternoon, and that is setting up through the Ohio Valley into this afternoon and evening. For dew points, not really any crazy gradient in that. It's been hot and muggy everywhere. It's going to continue to do that into this evening. 67 degree dew points in Green Bay, 78 in Louisville. Again, 70s across the board through most of the area there, so just hot and muggy. Down south of that front, still muggy north of it, but a little bit of relief from that heat into this afternoon. So that plays all into our instability, as you guys know. So we've got that dry, cool air setting up in the northern part of the Ohio Valley, hot, muggy air beneath it, and we're getting a lot of lift along that, and we get a lot of instability through Illinois, Indiana, and into Missouri. Those nice high values are what we like to see for that hail development into this afternoon and evening. And then we've still got a little bit moving through Nebraska and Wyoming. Still got some higher Cape values with that, and that could help us get some storms developing later on in the afternoon and evening hours. And then as those storms continue to develop, push south, that Cape goes down with it. So that's what this is going to look like in this evening for our severe thunderstorms. So this is now for our Nebraska and Wyoming risk. Like I said, not a ton going on this morning. Going to be a quiet start. Looking a little better on radar now than we saw yesterday. We're getting some isolated storms south of Casper there. A couple of those could produce some severe hail in the quarter to half dollar size range. Possible scattered golf balls with that, but it's too narrow to pin down where that's going to be. So south of Casper, a couple isolated storms, and then it quickly gets messy as it goes on. Check that out. Getting a lot of rain, a lot of gusty winds with that, and then just all sorts of loud thunderstorms making their way through Rapid City and the central part of South Dakota into later tonight. Then for our Midwest risk and our Ohio Valley risk. So we have that storm that's going to push off of the New York and Pennsylvania area into this afternoon. So this is by 6 o'clock. That's getting ready to push off the coast, moving through Jersey and New York area. As it does, could produce some gusty winds with that, some significant winds. So you guys want to stay weather aware at the end of your work day here as that continues to push off the coast. And then for the rest of us, by 6 p.m., we're starting to get this line of storms that's developing through Ohio, through Indiana, through Illinois. With these storms could come some hail risks, and then as they go on, check that out, messy storm mode we know is important. And with these messy clusters of storms, we mostly see wind with those, although we could get a couple of hailstones here or there as the night goes on. And then those are going to continue to push to the south and kind of fizzle out as we lose that energy through this evening. So this is what that looks like for you guys into this afternoon, going into this evening. So quarters to $50 anywhere possible from the East Coast near New York and DC area, all the way into Missouri, all the way to Kansas City. We'll see if anything can hit you guys. You guys kind of have a Kansas City bubble that's been sitting over you. We'll see what happens. And then into Wyoming and Nebraska, quarters to $50 size possible. So let's take a look here at our city-specific forecast. If you guys are in Philadelphia, probably mostly wind for you guys into this evening and afternoon. Could still see a quarter or two with those storms that pass through. Pittsburgh, kind of the same story, mostly wind for you guys, could see quarters to $50, but then if you guys are in Columbus, if you guys are in Indianapolis, you could possibly see some $50, maybe ping pong to golf balls as those storms initially get going, and then like we saw, they get a little bit messy, probably mostly wind. So for you guys, quarters to $50 in Columbus, and then like I said, Indianapolis, and through Lincoln, Illinois area, that's our best chance for those larger hailstones to form, since that's our area of highest instability, but it's going to be a quick movement of those storms before they band up and produce a wind threat. St. Louis, you're probably a little too far south. I think they will be doing mostly wind by the time they reach you, so quarters to $50 for you as well. And then out near the western part of Kansas, you guys got those tail end Charlies that could move through on this system, so you could get a couple of quarters here and there with that as well. But that instability is starting to weaken a little bit as we get out west, so not likely that we'll see anything crazy large. Then for Wyoming into Nebraska, quarters to $50 for you guys through that area with those loner storms that we saw passing through. There's just not a ton of instability out here like we talked about, so probably mostly quarters to $50. However, we did see a little bit of cells of a little bit higher Cape values, so you guys could possibly see a ping pong or golf ball, but again, it's too narrow where that's going to be. So mostly quarters to $50 for you guys, and it's mostly going to stay rural. Then for wind, so it's going to be mostly the same risk area for that. Right now, Pennsylvania and New York, you guys need to be paying attention to your wind threat because that is actively moving through your area. And then anywhere through the Ohio Valley, that's going to start developing later this afternoon. So looking into that, if you guys are in Pittsburgh, if you guys are in Philadelphia, like I said, that system is moving through right now. So that could be producing some severe winds as it pushes through Philadelphia. You guys are in a high risk of seeing some potentially gusty winds, potentially damaging winds as that band moves through. It should be moving through early this evening around the time you guys are getting off work. So just be aware of that. Pittsburgh, going to pass through a little bit earlier, more moderate chance because it needs to develop that energy with that daytime heating, and it may pass over you before it really gets to that. However, still a strong band of storms. We saw it moving last night, so you guys are in a moderate chance of seeing some damaging winds into this afternoon. Then Columbus, those storms are looking a little more isolated as they move over you, so it could be more of a hail risk, and it could be a very scattered storm threat overall, so you guys are in a low chance of seeing any severe winds into tonight. But then again, for Indianapolis and for the Lincoln, Illinois area, our storms are going to move over you quickly, posing possibly a hail threat and then a wind threat as they get clustered up and banded together and begin making their way southward into the St. Louis area. Then finally, last but not least, Casper into Nebraska. You guys are also in a low risk for some gusty winds with any of those storms that get going into this afternoon and evening. Then for tomorrow, so we had last night's storms kind of playing into today. Today's storms not really going to do much to play into tomorrow, fortunately. So we're mostly looking at sea breeze storms again, moving off the coast of the Carolinas as those push through. We could get a couple storms popping through the Raleigh area. A couple of these could produce some gusty winds along with it. Probably not enough instability to get you all any hail going as the afternoon and evening move forward. And then those are going to move off the coast into the late evening hours and overnight hours. Again, just mostly loud storms and some damaging winds possible through that area. And then once we get into Nebraska and the Central Plains area through, again, Kansas City, we'll see if it can get to you guys. We're going to have an initial round of storms moving through into tomorrow morning from tonight's storms. And then we will have a little bit of modification moving through that area from those storms, and we'll see if we can get any moving through this area that can develop enough to move through Omaha and Lincoln, producing possibly some hail. But again, check this system out here. That's going to be a winding system as we move through into tomorrow. So as it passes through Omaha, probably doing mostly wind. And then as it continues to move southward, again, wind threat overall, however, could produce some isolated hailstones along with it. So that's what this is going to look like for you guys into tomorrow afternoon and evening. Mostly a hail threat just for the Central Plains area. Anywhere in Omaha to just north of Kansas City probably is going to be our best chance for quarters to half dollars. Mostly wind through here. And then once we get into our wind threat for the Carolinas and for the Central Plains, a little bit of a different story. So here's what we got for you guys. Same area, you saw that band, that's going to track southeastward. So anyone in Omaha all the way to Kansas City into central Missouri, you guys could see some damaging winds along with that band that passes through tomorrow evening into the early overnight hours. And then down on our coastal risk here, we've got those storms that are going to be popping up with that sea breeze through the early afternoon and evening, and those are going to continue to produce a gusty wind threat through the Raleigh area. So again, scattered through both of these areas for wind chances, and then mostly a wind chance through Nebraska and Kansas, or Kansas and Missouri, as those storms get going into this evening. So that's what we have for you guys into today and tomorrow. Today is probably our last shot at anything significant, and then tomorrow it should be a little bit more scattered, probably going into a quiet weekend ahead of us. But if you guys want to stay tuned to our weather, you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit See First on Facebook so you never miss a live video. And as always, smash that subscribe button on YouTube. And then if you guys want to get in contact with us, you can call us at 855-334-4245. You can also email us if you would rather at info@hailtrace.com, or go ahead and check out our awesome website, hailtrace.com, for more details on who we are and what we do. And as always, we will keep you guys updated on our weather with our weekly or our daily forecast videos every Monday through Friday at noon Central. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers. Thanks for watching.